you were saying this earlier too, but you had this on your website. You were saying, I have a distinct memory of being called a Maimunda, which roughly translates to girl boy, by my mother and her friends. Why does that stick out to you particularly as like such a strong memory?
You know, I think this is something I want to explore in my work as well, because I think there's something to that that's less about being a tomboy and more about sort of posturing maleness to uh, feel powerful in society, right?
Mm.
We operate and live within these like patriarchal systems. And I'm sorry, I don't want to sound too, I don't want to sound too academic, but I think
No, do your thing.
there, I also had an older brother, so I looked up to him. And so, I got his hand-me-downs. I was also super sporty. I played soccer forever and ran track. And um but I think subconsciously there was probably something else at work there, where it's like, oh, if I dress like this and I behave like this, then I will be heard, and someone is going to give me the attention that I'm looking for and the power that I'm looking for.
And that's when you're
And
being more masculine or more feminine?
more masculine.
Mm. And who do you say that
And
would be giving you the like positive attention when you're
I think society, right? I think society, I think we're, because you feel like as a girl or a woman that you're really only being seen in one way, and that's what you look like and that's how you dress. And I think I had a complete rejection of that because I didn't want to be seen that way.
mm,
I didn't want to dress up in cute clothes and then be called cute. And because it's like, that's not really about me. That's about like what you think I am. And that's what I look like. Whereas like, if you're a guy, you can walk into a room and someone is just going to give you respect, be, literally because you're a guy,
I think it's
and no
funny
other
that
reason.
in
Yeah.
both of these cultures has two completely different things. Like the more masculine feel here and being referred to that way might give us more power. Whereas I, similar to you, my parents say like you should have been born a boy because of the way that I act. They're like, you act so non-feminine, you should have been born a boy, or like you are so doing so many things, whatever. And it's like a negative connotation. So the fact that we have the dual identities plus those two things meaning two different things in these two different cultures, I think that's also probably where all our confusion comes in too.
Yeah. And how did you deal with that growing up?
I mean,
How do you
personally, for
feel like that
me,
manifested? Yeah.
I think I kind of read it between the lines, right? So when they say like you should have been born a boy, what are they really saying? They're saying like you do too much, like you're not as like, sweet, like, what is the attributes that related to a woman, but for a man it's like you want to provide, you want to be doing the most, you're always out the house, you're always doing something, and that's what's attributed to a boy. And because of that, I looked at it as a positive, even though most people might look at it as a negative. So dealing with that was more so me just accepting the fact that in their minds I'm never going to be the perfect feminine daughter that they want. However, I'm okay with that because that's not what I want to be.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
My parents would say this too. My parents actually call my sister Mai, not the Munda part, but uh,
Yeah.
they just think that she um, is very like independent and tomboyish. But the reason is because in Pakistan, often, and my family still says this, if someone's having a kid, be like, Allah kare ke beta de, which means,
Mm-hmm.
may God bless you with a boy. And then I think when my sister was growing up, she did things very sort of independently, and yeah, like yourself, she was very sporty and excelled in academics and all these things. And you know, it's like they're like my dad. He'll be like proud of the fact that she's boyish
Mm-hmm.
because maybe it's I'm trying to make sense of it through their eyes too
Right.
because of how they grew up, and I think that they're trying to say that with women, the expectation is like you raise them to get married.
Right. You raise them to be good wives,
Yeah.
which is honestly, it's all about your parents' perception too, right? So the fact that your parents look at it as a way of like, oh, she's so independent, this and that. Some parents look at it as an amazing thing. Some parents are like, you're too independent for your own good.
Right.
So it's all about the connotation that our parents put on it as well, which is how it affects us, I feel.
It seems like their language. Like that's it. Like they're not really trying to say that, but at the same time.
Oh, you're saying like how people have a different way of expressing like their love.
That's what I think. But
Well, it's also about how they put it off to others as well, right? Because then when they are going off to others, they're like, you know, sometimes the conversation will consist of, yeah, she never cooks for the house, but it's never a conversation of, oh yeah, she's doing XYZ out the house. She was doing this job at this age, whatever. So it's, again, I think it matters about what your parents value and then how you value yourself and if how well those two things align.
How were your parents with it?
Yeah. I think they've, they've gotten really good. I feel supported by my parents, of course. Like any parent, you butt heads and you're like, you get into arguments, but I think they have been very supportive of my career. But I would say, and who's SHAH-AMEER, right? What SHAH-AMEER was saying, it's like, your parents think that they're saying something that's encouraging, but like you're reading it as like not encouraging because you're like, but you didn't say that in an encouraging way. And actually the words that came out of your mouth were not encouraging. And I think we have a lot of those types of conversations where you're constantly negotiating like, okay, yeah, but I know you said you were happy, but you said it in this other way that had all this other stuff attached to it. So, but I give them a lot of credit. I think it's, if I were a parent, if I were an immigrant parent and, you're navigating this world that's like not created for you and you're raising children in this world that like, you just want to protect them and you want to do all these things for them that you're not going to get it right. And so I think I'm grateful that my parents have an openness at least to like have conversations and hear me out. And like, they've been really great about that.